millions of Canadians deal with such issues that make managing their time and keeping track of all the small details of their life difficult. And with our products, day to day, we aim to help them keep track of their life one day at a time. So our team starting off, I am the project manager, Spencer Arnold, and then going from left to right, we have Riley Alford, Fanny Imani, and Kale Wise. Starting us off will be Kale Wise.
Thank you very much, Spencer. So when we were looking to design this product, the first thing we wanted to start out was a persona, so that we properly target the audience. And so we started off, I'd like you to meet Jane. Jane is a 23-year-old BCIT student. She's been dealing with ADHD. She struggles a lot with the complexity of handling money in today's world, along with having a hard time remembering small details of her day-to-day, being monthly doctor's visits, taking her medication up to 3 times per day, and her school schedule on top of that. So, Jane being the target persona, we wanted to mainly create a product that would reduce stress and help her keep her independency by helping alleviate some of the issues that she has in her daily life. So to start off, when we looked online and we found that the Government of Canada had a survey in which 75% of people that have reported to have a mental and cognitive illness, 75% of them who are receiving help are having mainly issues with getting to appointments and running errands, looking after personal finances, and preparing meals. So we realized that these were the main things that we wanted to focus our product on. In addition to this, we also plan to use a monochrome color theme to be colorblind friendly and to reduce overstimulation so that we're not pulling their attention where it should be. So talking about the design process, initially, like I said, we were looking to be colorblind friendly, mainly looking to target those 3 issues, and we're looking to create UI elements that display as much information as we can to the user without being too overly complicated to where the user cannot use it. So to start off with the backend, I've got Fanny here, and we'll start talking about our application again.
So when we initially thought of approaches to design this product, one of our first approaches was app development using the Angular Studio IDE. This was our first approach. However, we found that the Android Studio IDE was the Android Studio IDE was not the best way for us to implement this product. So when moving on, we decided to use the Python development using Python. This allowed us more control over the interface, and since it's more modular, it allowed us to use other Python libraries. So for example, one way that we were able to scale this product was using Socket, which allowed us to develop a very simple client-server backend, which is very scalable. So in the instance of people with disabilities having to do their meal prep and communicating that with us, and if, for example, some meal prep was unavailable, our server would be able to communicate back to them, to a client, oh, this meal prep is not available as of right now. Would you like to be able to choose this other meal prep?
And expanding on what Kale had said earlier, the main point of our app was to assist with meal prep and meal ordering, as well as meal reminders, appointments, scheduling, so viewing and then also navigating to those appointments, and tracking personal finances and just where you are in the month on that. So this is, with these 3 things, we aim to help those that are capable of helping themselves to become independent. So those dealing with ADHD or like the earlier stages of like Alzheimer's and dementia, where you have trouble keeping track of a lot of complex tasks at once. So the main issues that those people can have are forgetting their tasks that they have, making it to appointments on time, or remembering when they have appointments, what the plans they made with what people, and just remembering, to eat and things like that. Together, these create a sense of stress, anxiety, can lead them to be overwhelmed, and this just creates an negative feedback loop on their lives, which can make the symptoms that they were already dealing with worse. So with our product, we hope to reduce that to the point that hopefully make the symptoms less, and also manage those symptoms better. And to do that, we created, we wanted to reduce the level of stimulation with our app design as much as possible. And to talk about our design process visually will be Riley.
Thank you, Spencer. So here, as you can see, as we stated before, we have a black and white theme to be colorblind friendly, and we also have large text to make sure that someone with other visual impairments can easily read it. And so how the graphical user interface actually works is we have a loop, and every time the loop, it'll render the GUI, and it'll also check for events. So where you click. So for example, if you were to click on schedule, then you would be brought to that screen up there, and the appointments would be retrieved from the server and then displayed on the client's screen. And there's also a back button so they can go back and see and choose a different function in the program. And for a bit of future planning, I'll be passing it on to Kale.
Okay, thank you, Riley. So as Riley mentioned, we've got the appointments interface here. And so this is our proof of concept interface. And then on this side, we go back a page, please. On this side, what we have is what we plan to implement with your guys' help as investors. So on the left side, currently we're just displaying the 3 next upcoming appointments. What we'd like to change that with your guys' help is to just display the most upcoming appointment, so that that's all that the customer is told. And what we'd like to implement is also 2 buttons using API calls for Uber and for Google Maps. One, so that we can give the choice to the customer whether, using Uber and Maps, we'd like to give choice to the customer whether they would like to call in Uber to get them to that destination, or use Google Maps so that they can get to the destination on themselves, whatever they feel comfortable with. And along with on the theme of reducing overstimulation for the customer, what we will do is have the most upcoming appointment up top are 2 buttons that will display for the Uber and the Google Maps integration, and then below we would like to give the next 5 appointments, so that there's not too much going on at the screen at the same time. Moving on to the next feature that we have planned, we have the meal planning. So currently in our proof of concept version, what we have here is a selection of meals that would be catered to Jane's preferences. And if Jane would like to order a burger, currently if she selects on the burger icon, that sends a message to our server that tells the server that Jane would like a burger, and in this case it would be ordered for her. With your guys' help, what we'd like to implement is we'd like to implement push notifications around the time of standard meal times to help remind our customers that it is time to eat, it's time to plan accordingly, whether that be buying ingredients for themselves or if they just need to order food for themselves. What we'd really like to implement into this feature is the option for the customer to either order the food for themselves, or if Jane would like to try and make this burger herself, what we'd like to do is be able to pull a recipe from the internet and just display the recipe and ingredients, cutting that stage for Jane where she might be surfing the web, getting distracted, losing track of time. We want everything to display within the app. So it's just the recipe, the ingredients. Jane knows everything she needs to know in order to make the burger herself, or she can order it herself as well. On to the next part, we have our finances. So currently, the finances just display what is available and what is spent for Jane's finances, and what she has set as her monthly budget. What we would like to do is introduce an API integration with banking systems, so that within this app, Jane can open up her bank, again, removing that internet part where she might get distracted, might lose track of time, and that might lead her to get stressed. We'd also like to introduce a dynamic slider that displays the available versus spent funds. That going back to our design process where it's something simple, displays information, and it's something that we believe that anybody will be able to understand. And then moving on, I will pass it over to Spencer for our plans for the rest of 2024.
Yes. So, as Kale mentioned, our main goals for our main goal to expand the application before release in August of 2024 includes the API calls to various programs, such as Uber and Google Maps for the navigation appointments, Uber Eats for the meal prep, as well as expanded recipes and meal selections, and banking integration for the finances. We were also hoping to add preferences as well as dietary restrictions and time-aware options for the meal prep. And that's it. We were also talking about adding options for users to change the display colors. Currently, it's monochrome to deal with black and white, but we are also having a few high contrast options for those that had difficulty just staring at and maintaining focus on black and white. But our main feature that we'd like to add involves just our main goal for the project to reduce stress and to properly manage that. And our last addition is a panic button. So we hope to reduce stress and reduce the need for the panic button by the existence of the app itself. However, when that becomes too much, the user can press the button and get in direct contact with a agent at our call center to help talk them down or just have someone to by default, when they connect, the user is anonymous, so they can speak freely. Because when we were looking up issues with people with disabilities such as this, one of the main things that prevents them from reaching out and getting help is shame or just insecurities, guilt about not being able to manage their life. It builds up and they feel embarrassed about it. So by anonymizing their connection, we hope to promote people to reach out more, feel more free to. User would also have the option to send the data to the call center if they need additional supports. They'd have access to different parts of their user data so our agent could help walk them through the various processes, such as their appointments and finances. And that's what we plan. That is our current prototype and our future plans. Thank you. If there are any questions, or we also have a demo available to walk you.
Yeah, let's go to the demo.
Start with the demo.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. So.
You show code, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a class day-to-day, and this is it basically. So what it does when it starts up is it retrieves all the relevant data from the server, such as the budget, monthly total, and various appointments. And so as you can see when we run it without the server program running, and we go to say schedule, it'll be blank. But when we run the server, before we actually run the main program, you can see that it retrieves the relevant information schedule and finance portions of the program. And Brandon can probably talk about a bit about how he wrote the server, because that was
So the main thing, basically when we want to scale this product, we want to be able to have multiple, try to have multiple clients to connect to one main server. So what this main thing is, what this script is doing, is that it's connecting, it has our IP address and our port, and for that it is starting a connection using an IP address. So it handles the client and checks for all of these conditions, and once you actually run the program, then it'll wait for a connection, and it'll start a connection at this specific IP address. And when you go onto the network, this network is basically a very prototype client. It's all very prototype client script that our program uses to run our main app. So our main app is going to be calling this client function, and our client will then be communicating between it and the main server. And so when the program closes and the server's not running, there will be no information, there will not be information being retrieved. So especially for sensitive items such as your money and appointments, those will be those will not be contained. But when we have the server running and we can verify that you, the user, are communicating, then we'll send you that info.
yeah. And so a bit more about the loop logic. So in our main loop run, which we call in our main function right here, we basically check for events right here, and then here we check for what kind of event it is. So if it's a mouse button down, it'll check where you've clicked in the screen, and then depending on what you order, and if you order something, it'll also try to send data to the server. We should disclose that only the burger button currently functions.
The client server, the client server functionality, only the burger is able to send the order and then send the client the response that they ordered.
For the appointments and the budget though, that all works perfectly. That's retrieved as intended. And then for the rendering loop, we have different functions here in our render function to render different menus depending on which flag gets set to true when you click on a certain button.
Okay. So Brad, you want to just demonstrate
Yeah.
how, so because one of our main issues that the main bug that we were trying to solve is that when we click burger,
Yeah. We do get, sorry, I think it's server.
Here,
the program crashes when we click burger. You can see that it was sent to the server, however it does crash the program.
Yeah, it does send when you click on burger.
Otherwise, the other server implementations that we wanted do function properly.
So then this is always my follow-up when you do a report. Do we have any idea why? You don't have to fix it, but do we know what's unique about this client server interaction?
Yeah, rather than we were initially debugging the main things we were looking for initially.
The main thing I was looking for was to see if it was maybe sending data at the same time as it was trying to send other data, or sending and receiving at the same time, because it's both being, the server and the client software are both being run on the same computer, so we're not really sure about how that works. Spencer, where's the Doxygen documentation? So I can just demo the documentation we have.
Yes, we have our, this is here.
That's the user symbol guide.
Okay, so we have user guides and we have the oxygen.
It's just, okay, it's okay. Okay. Yeah. our software for the developer side of things in Doxygen. And so as you can see, we have a list of member functions and with a nice HTML output and what each thing does. And as you can see here, it specifies everything, and none of them really return everything, but there are parameters. So like parameter for on event and checks, which type of event has occurred. But most of them are just void functions with no return type. And same for the network class, I believe. Yeah.
We use this type of documentation since we're pretty used to it using OpenCV. So we like how looking at OpenCV and trying to learn functions from that. That's initially why we use Doxygen. When we go to the user manual, as I was saying during the presentation, a lot of our stuff is planned features. We weren't able to implement it as much as we wanted. So in the user manual, I have just brief little things about the current implemented features, as there isn't that much. That's why it's quite short. Trying to keep any relevant data to the slide shown here in terms of text. But as we gave the application more features, of course, this would be
Expanded upon.
expanded upon. Is there any questions that you guys had as well that we haven't answered?
Really, yes.
Do you finish?
Sorry?
Do you finish?
Do you?
Yeah, do you finish your
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Is there, so right now this server is basically just calling the data that's in there. Did we do any data entry? So like where I can type in the password, anything like that?
We didn't get,
What you can do though, like say a family member was setting this up
Yeah.
for someone else, because it's a Python script, they could replace, say, the appointments if they wanted to.
Okay.
With,
No, sir, no, we haven't, it's not as a plan.
okay.
So you have the program for the whether it can run or show something.
yes, that's like our main issue. It's like, I would,
Yeah, you can show us just the operating update. You update just speaking to the code, so we can have much time to review all kind of code.
Yeah.
And we are more likely to save it out. We can show the what's the screen running.
That's right. Oh, show the,
so it's
show running, okay.
So this is here,
It's a little
yes. Finance there, this being the back one here. Yeah, it's, every time we,
There's nothing.
so every time we open the specific screen is when the data is being pulled. So,
Yeah. And can you click to the last one, you?
yeah.
So this is the one.
Yes.
You click one of these?
Yeah.
So the pancakes or the pasta don't do anything currently?
Yeah, we don't
Okay.
currently have
Oh,
calls
I
to the
got
server.
it.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then burger is the one that,
Burger,
Right,
yeah,
right.
burger sends, if we go do burger, if we see that we have the server call.
Did you get it? Okay.
And then, yeah, we go to finances, it shows up here. Yeah, again, we would like to have a way to, enter this and adjust it on the page.
Are you using the annual schedule to run this app?
No, we had initially started making a Android Studio app, but then transitioned into Python.
would be the Uber implementation with Google Maps, and I didn't even mention as well, the, one like to add like an appointment, so that the user can add an appointment. And that would be taking just like data when, where, and what the actual appointment would be. And what we did want to try and implement as well is initial, like, when you start the software for the first time, as a new user, there would be quite a bit of a setup process, because for the meals, we wanted to set up like preference-based meals, displaying, just the banking information as a whole, and also, initially setting up with whatever appointments that you have when you were starting to use it. This one, no. So this one is just pulling straight from the server currently. And if you wanted to edit it, you would have to edit it on the server code itself. We don't have any functions currently to edit it within the program.
Do you have any connection with finance and the personal view? Do you have the two functions, finance?
We don't have any connections right now between those two. We were hoping that the finance was mostly going to be avoiding what do you call it? Like human needs, like so rent. This would be part of like the initial setup where you're trying to find your budget, and that would include being rent, food, and your bills that you pay for the month, and then finances would be purely like pleasure spending. So how that you, like, if Jane wanted to go out and buy like a coffee with her friends in the morning, and then went out for dinner and got confused because she didn't know where this money went, and it was just because she did not remember purchasing those before. That was the